position, and we have managed, and it's been very controversial, to get the public finances in order. We now need to preserve our reputation for financial competence. There is more money to invest now in education. We should make that investment. But the key questions are, where do you put that money? And I think the observations around this room have been right. Vocational training, absolutely central. Early years, quality of education. Make sure that we don't end up in a situation where you're cutting the fees, but as a result, taking more money away from universities. And the final thing is the world is changing. With AI, with robotics, we have to think 15 years forward. And what that is about is making sure that somebody of 40 or 35 who wants to take a year out to retrain, get education for a new type of job, we have to make sure the money is available for them, because the jobs of today are not going to be the jobs of the future. And if we don't provide training for people in their 30s and 40s, we're not going to be able to keep up.
I just want to let you know that Question Time comes from Thetford next week, where we'll be joined by Tory backbencher Nicky Morgan and the boss of Wetherspoons, Tim Martin, and by the SNP. And the week after that, we'll be in Brecon. So if you want to join in this conversation, call 0330 123 9988. You can follow the instructions on the screen now at the Question Time website, and you can be part of the audience. So do join us there. We've had a rather interesting question that came in, and I just wanted to put this before the panel. Sally Ray.
Why is everyone so angry about everything all of the time?
Now, I've got to say, Sally, the thing that struck me when I started this job on January the 10th was, with the exception of this evening, actually, just how cross so many people are much of the time in our audience. And often with good reason, I would say. Stephen, I'd love to hear your view on this.
Yes, there are two ways of approaching the problems and challenges that we face, sometimes called the conflict approach or the mistake approach. Namely, do you see society as like a patient who has some symptoms and you want to diagnose the underlying cause? Reasonable people will come to different diagnoses. You want to seek as much evidence as possible. You want to admit when you make a mistake. Or do you see it as a kind of war where there are bad people who want the problems to persist, and there are good people who want to alleviate them, and the route to improvement is for the good people to defeat the bad people? One of the reasons that people are so cross is that we have been shifting both in the right and the left away from a mistake model to a conflict model, rather than thinking these problems are enormous, human intelligence is limited, we're ignorant of a lot, we've got to let the world tell us what works and what doesn't work. We tend to frame problems as how do we defeat the people who are responsible for them.
And do you think that's something that's happening particularly here, or do you think that that's just a global issue?
Coming from a country where the politics are completely reasonable and calm and rational, I'd have to say that no, it's not. It is certainly not a uniquely British problem, and it's more acute in the United States.
Young man there. I'll come to you. Let me just hear from the young man in the audience.
Well, I have to say, I feel like the anger of the people is reflective of the anger that politicians have for each other. We're constantly seeing on the news each opposition party just attacking each other personally, seeing each other as enemies. Isn't it time that we start to treat each other and work together in unity and treat each other with kindness, that we work together and try to do good for the will of the people to make us happy?
I agree with that, but don't you think that media portrays a large factor of that, and rather than we go and actually meet people and talk to them, as opposed to looking at what media portrays and that everybody is evil on a certain group, right, we're going to attack that certain group, or attack that certain race, or attack that person's political view, as opposed to going out there. And don't you think that media actually portrays a large significant factor in regards to that? So why everybody is angry and everybody hates each other, as opposed to, right, we're going to go have some time, go sit with that person, and let's see how they are, let's see what their views are, as opposed to looking what the TV actually shows us every single day.
Right, so it's either the politician's fault or the media's fault. Rory.
So, look, I've been very struck by this over the last few days. So I've been going up to Wigan, which is a safe Labour seat, going up to Warrington, and again, people keep saying to me, are you not going to get abused? Are people not going to shout at you? And in fact, what happens is that sometimes there are disagreements, but actually people are unbelievably polite.
They're probably rather surprised, aren't they, Rory, when you turn up, you know, with your mobile phone and all the rest of it?
That they may be surprised, but they're also very, very courteous. And I think if there is a challenge for our society, one big challenge above all is to heal divisions. We're now split, North against South, Scotland against England, old against young. We've got to find our way to the common ground. And this is where Stephen's right. Getting to that common ground is about understanding particular details. And understanding particular details is about listening, and sorting things is about acting. And the key word that we need to get back to, which is a word which is so powerful and nobody ever uses in politics, is the word love.
Isn't it simply because we appear to not being listened to?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Rory, that's all very well. You've been saying all night about how you want to unify the country and everything, but yet if Boris is elected, you won't work in his government.
OK, let's...
OK, can I come in on that? I think this
very
is
briefly, Rory.
This is a very important challenge. This is about policy, not personality.
OK.
I have to, as a politician, say that if someone is advocating for a policy that I in principle disagree with, I can't be the Foreign Secretary arguing for something that would be a bad thing to do, from my point of view. So this is not an attack on Boris. We need to be straight with people, and you deserve politicians who stick, if they can, insofar as we can as humans, to their principles.
Okay. Foreign Secretary, that's not a job pitch, I don't think it is. Man in the red T-shirt.
One of the problems here in the southeast is the density of population. Much of the development and backland development is being put into many areas in the southeast here, with crowded roads, difficulty in getting doctor's appointments, difficulty in getting to hospital appointments, which I think is probably leading to a frustration and general irritation by people, and makes them short-tempered and cross. And I think that is what is happening here.
Let's hear from the chap behind you.
Going forward, after everything that's going on, how will a new Conservative leader, or if there was a general election, a Labour, Brexit Party, Lib Dem leader, how will they inspire trust back into the public, which has been lost following the recent events?
Young man there in the glasses.
Central issue is honesty. No politician will tell us what truly is going on at the moment. They won't listen to us, and they won't do what we instruct them to do. And we won't be angry if they listen to us and are honest with us.
We're short on time, so reasonably quickly.
I think one of the problems is that we are now listening to people in order better to refute them, rather than to understand what it is, what the truth in what they're saying is, and how we can actually learn from that. I just want to address the lady's, the original question, though.
Why are we so angry?
Why are we so angry? I went to a primary school the other day, and I asked the headmaster what his Latin motto meant. Embarrassingly, he didn't know. I checked it out, and it's munus prae duty before rights. I think we've got something wrong in society in that we have focused so much on our rights, and we insist so much on what we believe is due to us. Rights are really, really important. But if we forget to balance that with the duty that we have to our fellow citizens, and what the young man there said, which I think is absolutely the right word, kindness, that's what we need to bring back, not just into politics, not just into the media, but actually in our everyday lives with all of the people that we meet. Instead of thinking, what am I due to get out of this? We start thinking, actually, what's my contribution here? What's my role here? I think we need to move back in that direction.
Alex, do you think Nigel Farage can bring kindness back into politics?
Do you know what? I'm glad you've asked me, because anyone who's been to one of our rallies around the country or watched it on the internet would have been blown away by how inspirational and positive they were. We have actually run a very positive campaign, because actually we think being a self-governing nation and our children, our children's children, being the sole authors of this country's destiny is a really exciting prospect. But actually, you know, Sally's got a very good point, because one thing that I have found, despite always trying to keep upbeat, and I'm always really nice to everybody I meet, I mean, I am, is genuinely, I'm an optimistic little person, but I have faced some absolutely horrifying negative language, some of the most potent words, fascist, far right. And the fact now that mainstream politicians are among people bandying about such terms and typecasting people with a different political viewpoint is not constructive. And I think everyone here would agree that, you know, politicians have to lead by example. And we have to be hospitable to each other's views, even if we don't agree with them. And remember that actually our end goal is the same. We all want what's best for the country. We just have a different idea of how to go about it. But also, Sally, I'd say this. I think there is a little bit more hope than perhaps you think, because given what many people in society today think is a big democratic deficit going on in this country since the referendum, you don't really see many people out wearing gilets jaunes and organising mass protests. So actually, credit where credit's due, the British spirit is still, I think, a very positive one.
Woman in the white top.
Yeah, I'm a little bit frightened this is going to be quite an unpopular view, but I think I'd actually be quite frightened to come to a Brexit rally. I feel that, as a British citizen, because I feel that people like Nigel Farage do not represent me and my ilk. I feel that we're potentially marginalised and scapegoated, and I think I would be quite fearful to come to a Brexit rally.
You have no reason to be. And actually, if you look at our diverse range of candidates and the people who are going to be going to that European Parliament, and actually if you went to our rallies and saw who attended and the sort of messaging we're using, you have absolutely no reason to be, and you'd be very welcome.
But as I said, I was born here. I'm not someone that's come from abroad. I actually literally was born in North London, and I don't feel that you and your politics potentially embrace people of ethnic minorities, especially from certain backgrounds.
Absolutely, we do. I mean, like I said, our main point is wanting
it's not being represented,
our country to be sole agents in our country's destiny and all the opportunities that can bring, not just for us, but opening our arms up to the rest of the world by leaving the EU and having a global viewpoint. I mean, I think there's so many positives that come out of the opportunities that Brexit provides, and I'm sorry that you feel that way. I really am.
Obviously not convincing the lady up there. Joe, we've only got about a minute left, but what's your view on Sally's question? Why is everyone so angry about everything all the time?
Are
you?
I think Sally's asked a great question. I think, first of all, it's because there's lots at stake, because people really care about what happens in the future, and in a sense, that's a good thing. And also because we're talking about big issues where it's not even like a normal election where 2 or 3 years' time, 4 years' time, however long it will be, snap elections and so on, you can just change. We're talking about things which are decisions for the country, which set a path for generations to come. So I think that's one reason. And I think the second reason is social media. I read an amazing book called 10 Arguments for Deleting Your Social Media Accounts Right Now. I didn't manage to delete them. I did take a 3-month pause from Twitter, and it was lovely. And I think what that explained is that the currency of social media is likes, it's attention, it's shares, it's engagements. And we are quicker to think something is shocking or scandalous or hateful. Those are the emotions that we rise to more quickly. And so that is what we get used to being shared more. And it takes longer for those emotions. And Rory was right. The emotions like love, which are so important, but they're more of a slower burn. And that social media age is driving us towards that immediate angry response. And so having the conversation face to face is where I think we can really rediscover the art of disagreeing well.
Well, in the spirit of love and harmony, our hour is up. Our next programme is in Thetford. The following week we will be in Brecon. Call 0330 123 9988 if you'd like to be in the Question Time audience. The instructions are on our website, on the screen now. And if you want to have your say on tonight's topics, you can join Adrian, Charles and guests on Question Time Extra Time, and that is on 5 Live right now. But for now, thank you very much to my panel, to the audience here, and of course to you at home for watching and listening. From Epsom, bye-bye.
Join in the conversation and hear geeky gossip about Brexit from Westminster and Brussels in Brexitcast. Available to download and listen